कूजन्तं राम रामेति मधुरं मधुराक्षरम् आरुह्य कविताशाखां वन्दे वाल्मीकि कोकिलम्। रामाय रामभद्राय रामचन्द्राय वेधसे रघुनाथाय नाथाय सीताया पतये नमः। जयत्याश्रितसन्त्रास ध्वान्तविध्वंसनोदयः प्रभावान् सीतया देव्या परमव्योमभास्करः परमव्योमभास्करः।
श्रीमते निगमान्त महादेशिकाय नमः. In the Ramayana, especially before we take on the Rama-Ravana Yuddham, we are in the process of deciphering the Gayatri mantra and the way the Gayatri mantra has been positioned in the Ramayana. So, in the Gayatri Ramayana, we have completed 4 shlokas. The first 4, 1001, 2001, 3001. These 4 shlokas largely covered the entire Balakandam and a small section of the Ayodhya Kandam. In the Ayodhya Kandam, when Rama was informed by Dasharatha through Kaikeyi and through Sumantra that he had the major responsibility of executing his father's command, which included him going on an exile for 14 years to the forest, and thereby Bharata being made the Yuvaraja, the heir apparent. That said, Rama did take this order completely, wholeheartedly, and he went and informed Kaushalya Mata, his mother. Kaushalya cried a lot. She said, "Have I been waiting for this moment where I have to send my very own son who has been brought up in comforts to the forest where thorns and stones will pierce his soft lotus-like feet?" She cries. Rama consoles and convinces his mother that, "Mother, do not worry. I will be back very soon. 14 years may seem long to you, mother. It will just escape like this. It will just go away like this." After having said these words, telling these words to his mother, he goes to the apartment of Sita and tells Sita, "Please stay back in Ayodhya. I will come back in 14 years. I'm sure I'm going to miss you." But Sita said, "Why are you acting as if I am not going to come to the forest?" That is when Rama asks Sita, "Sita, how will you be able to come to the forest that is infested with ferocious animals?" Sita says, "When I have you by my side, why should I worry about the animals?" That is when, finally after the verse, "Kim tva manyata vaidehaha pitame mithiladipaha ramajamataram prapya striyam purusha vigraham," Rama accepts the request of Sita and says, "Sita, you can join me in this exile to the forest for 14 years. Lakshmana falls at the feet of both Rama and Sita and says, "Sabhratus charanau gadham nipidya raghunandanaha Sitam uvachatishayam raghavam cha mahapratam aham sarvam karishyami jagratah swapataschate." I shall serve the both of you, immaterial of whether both of you are awake or asleep. Accepting to Lakshmana's request that the Seshabhuta has to do Kainkariam to the Divya Dampati, the 3 of them have to march. When they go to the apartment of Dasharatha, while Rama and Lakshmana drape themselves in the Valkalam, leaving away all their ornaments, Sita too tries on the Valkalam. But when she struggles, that is when Dasharatha says that my daughter-in-law should not suffer for the sake of my son. She should be sporting all kinds of silk saris of various varieties and different ornaments in the forest. Let her not be subjected to these problems what are being faced by my sons. That is when is born the 4001th verse. Vanavasam hi sankhyaya vasamsya bharanani cha bhartaram anugachantyai sita yeshvashuro dadau. Then Sita accepts the command of her father-in-law, and so do the sons of Dasharatha. And different kinds of saris and ornaments are carried by Lakshmana for the sake of his sister-in-law Sita to the forest. As they leave the city, all of them start shedding tears. Meanwhile, when people have been expressing their sympathy, their sorrow, their melancholy over Rama's departure, Dasharatha narrates the incident involving a boy whom he had killed while he was on a hunting spree in his younger days. Some elderly people say it is Shravana Kumara, but there is no mention of the word Shravana in the Ramayana. It just says a boy who lived the life of an ascetic, a sannyasi. So that said, here Dasharatha reveals that incident to Kaushalya and says that in a few minutes from then he will die of Putra Shokam. And as he dies, Ayodhya, one of the most celebrated capitals of Koshala Desham, was bereft of its monarch, of its king, for the king was dead. The eldest and the third son were out in the forest. The second and the fourth sons were in Kekaya Desha and Giribraja. And the message had to be sent to Bharata to return. Meanwhile, Markandeya Maharishi. Markandeya is one of the most important rishis. When we deal with Ramapattabhishekam, we will get across the names of many rishis. Ramam Ratnamaye Pite, Sasitam Sanyaveshayit, Vasishto Vamadevascha, Jabari Rathakashyapaha, Katyayanaha Suyanyascha, Gautamo Vijayasthata, Abhishinchanaragra, Prasannena Sugandhina. We deal with many rishis. Similarly, at the start of Balakanda, the name of Markandeya appears. In Ayodhya Kanda, Markandeya comes and tells the other rishis who are headed by Vasishtha. A Rajyam does need a king. It cannot remain without a king. So we need to appoint the king at the earliest. Because a Raja is just not there for need's sake. He has to uphold Dharma. When the upholder of Dharma himself is dead, then we should appoint another person as his representative at the earliest. Raja Satyam cha dharmamscha Raja kulavadam kulam Raja mata pita chaiva Raja hita karonrunam Raja satyam cha dharmascha Raja kulavadam kulam. So a Raja, a monarch, a king, stands for various other virtues that he has to uphold so that he instills them as virtues in his praja as well. These are the words of Markandeya. That said, Bharata receives the messenger in Kekaya Desham. The messenger comes and informs that Bharata has been called to Ayodhya. Bharata, who had been sensing inauspicious dreams, Durnimittam, for quite some time, was worried about the welfare of his dear father and Raja Dasharatha and about the welfare of the eldest of his brothers called Rama. So he urges Shatrughna that they have to leave Girivraja at the earliest. As they leave Girivraja, which is also called Rajagriha, the capital of Kekaya Desha, and take over a week's time to come back to Ayodhya, he notices that the citizens of Ayodhya were not as hospitable and as receptive as what they used to be in the earlier days. The moment Bharata enters Ayodhya, people close their doors and do not wish to see Bharata. Bharata goes to the apartment of Kaikeyi and starts shedding tears. He says, Mata, why are people against me? And that is when he realizes through his mother Kaikeyi that his father is dead and that the eldest of his brothers had gone on an exile for 14 years to the forests. Understanding that his mother Kaikeyi was the root cause of this, he admonishes her and refuses to call her his mother. He goes to the apartment of Kaushalya to only be initially ridiculed by her. Then he goes seeking solace at the feet of Vasishtha, and Vasishtha is not charitable too. That is when he says that without the return of Rama, he will not step into Ayodhya, and starts leaving to the place where Rama was. He crosses Shringiberapuram, where for a short period of time Rama was living in the shade of Guha. Then he goes to Bharadwaj Ashramam and then walks towards the place called Chitrakuta by the banks of river Mandakini. The moment he sports or sees the eldest of his brothers, who's equivalent to his father, sporting the Jata Mandalam, Jata, matted tresses, he starts shedding tears. Nirikshya samuhurtam tu dadarsha bharato gurum utadera mamasinam Jata Mandala dharinam. He sees him in Jata. That said, Bharata still insists that Rama has to return to Ayodhya. Rama refuses, stating that it was his father's will that he stays in the forest. Bharata informs Rama of Bharata's departure, that is, the 10th of Bharata, where the Jivatma has left his Pancha Bhautika Sharira. That is when Rama starts crying and performs the final rites of offering water to the departed Atma. Then he still says that though his father's physical body may be absent, his words are still lingering in his mind and ears. So he will not be able to come for 14 years to Ayodhya. Bharata then asks, is there any other way for him to bless Bharata? Rama gives away the pair of Padukas, the Paduka Devi, Adhiroharya Padabhyam, Paduke Hemabhushite. So, Lakshmana hands over the pair of Ramapadukas to Bharata. Bharata carries them and places them on the Simhasanam, placed in the outskirts of Ayodhya called Nandikramam, and administers Ayodhya as just an executor of his brother's commands from that place. That said, Rama continues his journey by visiting the various ashramas of various Maharshis along with his dear brother Lakshmana and beloved wife Sita. While they visit the ashramam of Sutikshna, Sutikshna says you need to get the blessings of Agastya Rishi. Agastya is very close by, go there before he leaves the ashramam. Yadi buddhi krita drashtum Agastyam tam mahamunim Adhyaiva gamane buddhim rochayasva mahayasha. So he says, go fast. So Rama accepts the command of Sutikshna and walks towards the ashramam of Agastya. So today, out of the 4 shlokas, 3 shlokas were from Ayodhya Kandam. In the previous episode, 3 shlokas were from Balakandam and 1 shloka was from Ayodhya Kandam. Today we had 3 shlokas from Ayodhya Kandam and we had 1 shloka from Aranya Kandam. So, that said, we need to understand one minor point here. The 5th shloka begins with Vanavasam hi sankhyaya va tatsavitur va. Next, Raja satyam cha dharmam cha re, ra, re, same akshara. Yam, so re, ni, yam, that ni comes, right? In the Gayatri mantra it is anakaram. But here the shloka is nirikshya, not nirikshya, it's nirikshya. So the commentator Govindaraja says, Asmin shloke uttarardhe jatamandala dharinam ityatra nakaraha gayatriyaha saptamaksharam shatsahasram shlokaha gataha iti. 6,000 shlokas have gone away. The 6,001th shloka has the word jatamandala. That na represents the na of Gayatri. Tatsavitur vareniyam. That ni came here and then came the shloka yadi buddhihi yam. So we have completed 8 aksharas of the very famous Gayatri Mahamantra through 8 shlokas of the Ramayana.
Jayatyashruta santrasa dhvanta vidvamsa nodayaha prabhavan sitaya devya paramavyoma bhaskaraha. Ramayana is such a beautiful itihasa sreshtham that links different parts of Bharatadesham and just not Bharatam, different parts of the subcontinent. 292 episodes in simple English for 15 minutes every day on the Ramayana. We began on the Rama Navami and we are going to conclude on the Makara Shankaranti Uttarayana Punyakalam. This is a lamp that you see in front of me. My great grandfather, my mother's father's father, Pundi, Sri Rangaswamy Iyengar, used to recite the verses of the Valmiki Ramayana religiously every day for 365 days a year for a period of 40 years. And this is the lamp that he used to light. And here are the two bound books which are over 100 years old, which he used to read the verses of the Ramayana from. And here is the wooden stand, the book stand that he used to keep the Ramayana in. Fortunately, I have bequeathed all of them. My great-grandfather was called Pattabhirama Iyengar. My maternal grandfather was called Veera Raghavan. My daughter is named after Sita Devi as Kshitija. Everything in our family has an association with the Ramayana. I am sure, 100% sure, each of you will have an association with the Ramayana, either with a name, either in the form of a book, either in the form of a lamp, either in the form of a beautiful murti of Rama, either in the form of a beautiful painting of Rama. So let's use the hashtag Ramayana for us and tag and let us know how much each of us have loved Rama, Sita, the entire Rama Parivar and the Ramayana. This is a moment which we can create with very little efforts from our side till the inauguration of the grand Sri Rama Janmabhoomi temple. Jai Shri Ram.
Namaskara Mastikas. I'm tentatively scheduled to travel to Abu Dhabi and Dubai in the Met February, to 7 cities in the countries of Australia and New Zealand, namely Adelaide, Perth, Brisbane, Sydney, Melbourne, Auckland and Wellington between the 25th of February and the 25th of March. I'm scheduled to travel to Singapore either in the month of April or January, and later I'll be rendering discourses in New Jersey, Boston, Maryland, Pittsburgh, and then in St. Louis and Indianapolis in the month of July. I'm sure you would love to share this message with your friends and relatives. Dear Astika reader, I'm happy to be authoring a 2-part book on the Ramayana in English. The first part is slated for release in the year 2024. The book aims to recreate and retell the Ramayana of Valmiki, conforming to the ancient commentaries and other allied literature. To receive notifications of the book release, kindly register with www.deshikadaya.org/books. Namaskaram.